For jumping in, I'm Coach Kramer, and today I want to share with you a little bit about mindset, thought process, and giving something your best and being okay with where the cards fall when you do that. So I want to ask you this question. What would happen if you went all in on something? You really went all in. You said, you know what, for X amount of time, I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit to being the best that I possibly can in this specific area. Maybe it's basketball, maybe it's something else. What if you gave yourself a little bit of a timeline to fully commit, to go all out, to invest in the time, the energy, the sacrifice needed to be your best in a given area? To take off the floaties, jump in the deep end, to take off the training wheels and start riding a bike. I want you to start to think about how much better you would get if you made that type of jump, that type of commitment, instead of staying in the shallow end, sitting on the fence. It's time to jump over the fence. Make a decision, make a move, let's go. How much better do you think you could get in 3 months if you really committed to becoming a better shooter, a better leader, a better athlete, stronger, faster, more explosive? Pick one. And you really committed to it. No excuses. You really committed to this. Start to let your mind go a little bit and think about what would happen. You're probably imagining some growth happening right now. That's exciting. What if you said, you know what, this summer I'm concentrating on this specific skill? And I'll give you an example personally, because I think we all learn well from stories. And I'm a practitioner. I try to practice what I preach. Between my sophomore and junior year of college, I made a commitment to 2 things. 1, getting stronger, spending more time in the weight room. And 2, working on my attack skills, being aggressive, driving to the basket. I knew if I wanted to level up, take my game to another level, I need to be able to attack the rim and finish at the rim at a higher level than I was. Because up to that point, I was really good from 3 and I was really good from mid-range. So if there was a weakness in those 3 areas of the court, it was getting all the way to the rim and finishing against, college players, not playing high school ball anymore. So I knew I needed to level up there. And so that whole summer, I concentrated on spending more time in the weight room, getting stronger, and really concentrated on finishing. Not just working on my finishing when I was working out on my own or with a friend, but I think the biggest thing for me was the mindset of how I approached all the open gyms, the men's leagues, scrimmages, any of those things throughout the course of the off season. I remember we played in the men's league and played in a few different men's leagues, but we played in some men's league pro-ams in Grand Rapids, Michigan, played some in Kalamazoo. And my whole mindset was not even to do what I'm already good at. It was like, I'm just going to attack. And that's what I'm working on all summer. I'm not going to settle for 3s. If there's a shot that I can take, and maybe in the past I would take it just because I knew I could get it, I'm still not going to take it. I'm working on attacking, getting to the rim. And I learned a lot. I learned about, man, there's some times I can get to the basket. I didn't think I could get to the basket, right? There's some times where I drove to the basket and you keep trying some things and you make some mistakes. You say, okay, well, now I have a better understanding for how much space I need, how much time I need, where a help side defender is when I'm driving baseline, and can I get all the way to the rim, or are they going to slide over and cut me off outside the lane? And you start to figure out some of the timing and the spacing aspects of the game that allow you, and allowed me in this situation, to attack the basket at a higher level, because that was what was going to allow me to take my game up to another level. And consistently doing this, not for a workout, not for a couple weeks, for the entire summer, this is what I worked on. This is what I worked on. It made a huge impact in my game. Made a huge impact in my game. I was actually pretty fortunate. I worked on this so much. We go into my junior year of basketball. Also, my junior year of college, I hope we won 28 games. That's tied for the most wins in program history. Like, this was a big season, historically, at Hope. I was fortunate enough. I ended up leading the team in scoring that year. But I stunk it up from three. And one of the reasons for that is the weekend before the season were to start, I was helping my parents build a stone hill. We were landscaping, right? We're landscaping and we're throwing these stones. We're putting these stones up. My brother, who was 5-6 years younger than me, is being careless. He takes a stone, like a heavy stone that fit kind of, you got to lift it with both hands, and he just chucks it, right? He just kind of not really looking. He chucks it. Well, at that point, I'm next to him and I'm placing the stones where they're supposed to be in the dirt. Bam! Crushes one of my fingers on my right hand. And thankfully it wasn't broken, but it had smashed the fingernail so much that it just peeled right off from the back, actually, because it was still attached on the front, really gross, but it became unattached from the back, the base of the nail, and then slowly it came off. Anyway, really swollen, a lot of pain, and at the beginning of the season, I really had trouble shooting the ball because it just didn't feel right. It hurt because the nail wasn't quite all the way off yet. I had to have like a little bandage on that finger, so my touch was off. And thankfully, I'd worked all summer on attacking and finishing at a higher level. So I still was able to be very dangerous offensively. Our team, I think one of the needs that they had on that specific team was a player from the wing who could really get all the way to the rim and attack. So I served a need from the team standpoint because of a commitment that I had made to up my game in the off season. And it was a huge help. And it took my game to another level, and getting to the rim and attacking and finishing for the most part is something that I've been very comfortable with doing. And it's been a huge benefit to my game, even as an old guy, continuing to play basketball against younger, more athletic players. And it was because of that one year, that one summer of saying, man, what if I just commit to this? What if I don't settle for shooting a bunch of threes? What if in my free time, I'm not just shooting 50 threes, 100 threes, 200 threes in my workouts, I'm spending more time getting to the basket. It changed my game. It changed my game forever. My ability to finish at the rim. What would happen if you made a commitment like that? What would happen if you made a commitment like that, said, you know what, for 3 months, I'm making a commitment to get better in this specific area. For me, it was driving, finishing at the basket. You're probably getting a little bit excited. I know if I was listening to this as a player, I'd be getting a little excited because I would start to really think about how much I could improve if I really try to focus in on something. But now I want you to ask yourself, what are some of the sacrifices that you have to make? What are some things you might have to give up? Are you going to have to start eating differently? Are you going to have to start spending more time in the weight room? Are you going to have to start upping the intensity level of some of your workouts? Are you going to have to start training in a different way? Because listen, shooting, getting a bunch of shots up, for me, that's easy. I know a lot of players don't like to spend the amount of time that it takes to become a great shooter. For me, I was more than happy to spend hours and hours getting shots up. For me, something that was a little more of a commitment for me was driving. It takes a lot more energy, right? It was a weakness of mine because I wasn't that strong as an athlete, so it was easy for me to get pushed out away from the basket. And so working on that specific thing, it was a weakness. It wasn't as fun, but I knew if I wanted to level up, that's something that I was going to have to do. For you, hopefully you've thought a little bit about what that might look like. Understand that throughout that commitment process, maybe you give yourself a summer, so 2-3 months, there's going to be some rough times in there as well. There's going to be some times where it may not be as easy to train, maybe go on a family vacation. Something always is going to come up that was unexpected that you weren't really hoping for, right? There's going to be some obstacles. And so going in, you have to expect that things aren't going to go smooth. You have to expect that there's going to be some setbacks, even in your game. Like there's going to be times where you're working, you're not quite seeing the results. I'm telling you, you got to outlast the discomfort. You have to outlast the temporary. You have to outlast the pain. And that starts mentally, not physically. Because if it doesn't start mentally, when the physical point comes where your body says, hey, this isn't really working out, then you just stop. You quit. And you can't quit if you really want to see what you're made of and what your potential is in a certain area. So you got to jump in the deep end. That's one. Once you've made the commitment, we're in. No risk, no reward. Jump in, make the commitment. And then once you've made the commitment, understand there's going to be some obstacles along the way. Can you outlast some of the pain? Can you outlast the temporary that's going to allow you to get where you want to go, improving your game? Maybe it's finishing like it was for me. Working on my pro hops, working on stride stops, working on my shot fakeries, working on my spin move. All these different moves that I had to use. My right hand, my left hand, inside hand finish, outside hand finish. Being aggressive and just going up strong. If that meant just dunking it. What is it for you? What is it for you that you're really curious? Because, if you're 15 listening to this, you don't want to be 20 thinking, man, I wonder what would have happened that one summer if I would have really committed. Or maybe you're 20 right now. You don't want to think when you're 30, thinking back, I wonder what would have really happened if I would have jumped in with both feet, taken the floaties off, and committed to something. And maybe we're not talking basketball anymore. Maybe we're talking health, fitness, strength, athleticism. Maybe it's beyond that, right? Maybe it's something in your life that you really want to accomplish. Maybe it's getting a degree. Maybe it's getting a job. Maybe it's starting a business. See, I don't want to live my life wondering, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have committed. I want to commit and see what happens from there. And the thing is, you may commit to something, you may give it your all, and things still don't work out the way that you thought they would. But do you have the regret with that? No, you don't have the regret with that. What happens a lot of times is you might have this vision for yourself. You make a commitment with the best understanding of how to get there that you have at that current point in time. And then as you're going throughout that process, you're going to learn a lot along the way, because you can have successes, you're also going to have failures. And then you might see that this commitment that you've made is kind of taking you in a different direction, right? Because you're learning so much because you've committed that maybe you're figuring out, hey, maybe college basketball isn't for me, but I got a passion for fitness. Or maybe this aspect of my game that I'm really working on improving, because I'm working on it, there's some other weaknesses that I have that I really need to dial in as well. Or maybe you're thinking, you know what? I'm not challenging myself enough. I thought that this was something that I really needed to commit to. In fact, I see an even bigger hole in my game, and I gotta jump over there and make sure I'm working on that my weak hand. Or going, if you're dominant, going to the left, man, you really got to get some things in the bag going to the right, and you got to make that commitment first. Right? Sometimes we see some warts when we make that commitment, but we're not going to learn what those things are unless we really commit, jump in with both feet. I wanted to play in the NBA. Didn't happen. But because it didn't happen, it allowed me to go play overseas. I went to play overseas, I really found out, man, I really, really love basketball. And so when I went back into education, was in education for 2 years, coaching at the high school, coaching in junior high, coaching our youth basketball program. Found out how much I loved that. That started to light a fire and put me in a position to commit and say, hey, you know what, sink or swim, I'm going to try to go full time in player development, because that's where I felt like God was leading me. And I didn't want to look back 5, 10, 20 years from now and say, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have given that a go. I wanted to give it a go. And if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't work, I would clearly know why it didn't work. And that was going to help me in the next thing that I was going to do, whether it was basketball or something else. Like sometimes you make a commitment to do something, and as you're in the process of doing it, you're also figuring out, you know, that's not for me. That's not for me. I'm not that interested. I don't love it. I don't have the passion for it. I don't have the inner drive to do it every single day, all the time. Not that any of us doing anything, but you start to realize that one's not for me. And then you see something else light up and say, that's where I got to go. But we don't learn that about ourselves unless we commit and jump in with both feet. So that's my encouragement to you. What is it in your life that you're like, you know what? I got to take the training wheels off and I got to go. And I'm going to fall down. I'm going to get bloody, scratch my knees up. But I know the direction that I need to go in. And it's going to take some pain. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. It's going to take some early mornings. It's going to take not going to as many parties. It's going to mean maybe I got to say no to a few dates. I don't know what it might be. But that's the time commitment that it's going to take to get better. I want to see where that leads me. And the only way to give yourself a chance is to really commit from a time and an effort standpoint. I go on with this stuff all day because I love the mental side of things. It's not just motivation, it's beyond that. It's the discipline to continue to do something when you feel like it and when you don't feel like it. Getting that early morning lifting I don't really love lifting weights, right? But you still do it anyway, right? To get, those extra, drives and that hard, intense workout where getting shots up is easy, but working on your moves and your finishes and you're sweating and it's hard. You're working on your jump being explosive in different situations. That's hard, but you do it anyway. It's pretty darn rewarding as well. Nobody regretted working hard. So I hope that is an encouragement to you guys. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. But I say this in the spring because, March just finished. Basketball season just finished. March Madness just finished. NBA playoffs are just getting started. It's just a time that even as a kid, all the way up to now, being in my late 30s, I always think, how can I grow right now? How can I grow as a person? How can I grow as an athlete? Whatever it is that I'm doing. This is like improvement season. I've always felt that way. I don't know why my whole life at this point in the year, it's like, man, how can I get better right now? And if you feel the same way, then this video probably hit home. This audio podcast probably hit home to you. You're saying, man, there's some areas that I can get better at. It's go time. So thank you for checking this out. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. As always, get after it today.